Hey everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode of Mindset for Success. I am Cliff Sereday. I'm the team leader for Marti Hampton Real Estate, and I am here today joined with my friend Anna Powell of Anna Powell Real Estate down in Fuquay Arena. And today we're going to be talking about staying motivated as this whole NAR settlement kind of unfolds. So I'll give Anna a moment to introduce herself, and then we'll jump into it.
Yeah, I'm so important. I'm being driven around right now, just in case anyone's worried. I'm not driving the vehicle. My sweet husband is driving me back to the office from actually an appointment I was just having with another agent down here in the Fuquay market. We were having conversations that are going to sound probably similar to what we're chatting about, Cliff. So I got warmed up.
Good.
But I started as an individual agent. So individual agents on the call, love you. That's where I thought I would spend my whole life, was just being an individual agent. I never wanted a team. I run a team of like 30 agents now. So joke's on me. We're brokered by eXp Realty. So grateful for our amazing group of agents and staff and all the things that we've built in the last few years, and grateful to have met you through this platform, Cliff. And I'm so excited to be here today.
Yeah, that's actually, so I was going to bring that up too, because I remember having a conversation. I had actually had coffee with Tina. It was probably last October, and your name came up a lot because I was like, we're surrounded by like the OGs of our market, right? But it excites me when agents like myself and yourself, I kept bringing up, I'm like, agents to watch just this year is Anna. And I've been really fortunate to be able to work alongside you a lot this year, it's been cool for the both of us. So, but yeah, so I want to actually just jump into our topic today, which is, and they just released when the NAR settlement is going to be happening. It's going to be real life for us. But I think with our teams, and we'll get into that a little bit, as we've been, and it's real now in my brain.
Yeah, there's a date. It's not like, oh, maybe July. It's like, nope, August 17th, right? Like there's a date.
Yeah, so that's, I think, important to know now, where I think we were kind of, it was a waiting game, or like, the government or whatever, the court system, they're going to take longer than July, right? They're going to push it off. It's not going to happen, and it's happening. But I think too, like I know with my team, we've been really already pivoting in our organization too, which has been another amazing kind of reality that we get to live in, is we've jumped, I think it was like a week after we had our first mastermind about it, locally in Raleigh. I know we were meeting previously with eXp even before then. So that was amazing. So it kind of gave us a head start, I feel, with our agents. Tell me a little bit what you've been doing with your team to kind of prepare for those conversations, because I'm sure, just like our team, it's already getting brought up both on the sell side and on buy side as well.
Absolutely. It's funny. I see some of the pivots that we made, and I'd love to think that it was because I was so brilliant and I saw it all coming. But we started to, I think a lot of us with the high rate environment that showed up in 23, the slowdown that we started experiencing the second half of 22. I think one of the things that you guys need to look back and be really excited for is that you were already making pivots, right? You were already making pivots because the market was making shifts and there were more objections to handle. So I think one of the really cool things is, if you're looking at it, you're peeling back the layers, is yes, like this is a new challenge, but we were given a year and a half of high level objection handling, and buyers that didn't have a ton of motivation to buy homes, with this high rate environment showing up. And so we started focusing as an organization a lot more on homeowners in our database, because we knew they had equity. We knew that they might have debt consolidation needs that a purchase and a change of venue could help with. And so what I think is really cool is that we had some holistic shifts already happening in our business that, again, had nothing to do with this, because we didn't know what the outcome of this was going to be. And I guarantee you, a lot of you on this call, same thing is happening for you. And so we are obviously tackling the conversations, the scripts, the marketing, all of that stuff now. But I think what's really amazing for us is we made some holistic shifts that allowed us to really, I think, provide some buffer to our organization, to our business, and to our client base. And that was market conditions that caused that. So I hope that gives everyone on the call a little vote of confidence. You've been objection handling very well for the last couple of years if you're still in real estate and still selling. And so, yes, the topic is going to change, but we've already been shifting, and you guys are still here on this call today, investing in your business. And I think you're going to be fine, right, Cliff?
Yeah. Well, I think I'm happy you brought that up, because I think we can collectively agree as agents that last year was a mess and a half, and it was a fight. I think unknowingly, I think we condition ourselves for this market. And I will say, speaking to agents, I know we have some viewers that are not in North Carolina, but thankfully in North Carolina, we have that agency agreement in place. I will say I've been a big I've been pushing a lot on, because I think I don't want to fall back on that we had agency, because even I know like my team is guilty of it, but it was customary. It is still customary for sellers to pay that. But the verbiage was in our agency, but were we having those conversations?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times that's overlooked. Like, you're fine, you're in North Carolina, but there are new conversations now.
Absolutely.
But I think, fighting when we were, fighting against interest rates, and we were fighting against, the buyers wanting to purchase and having that, inventory issues. And it really just kind of built up our skin. It gave us thicker skin for it. But I do think there are new conversations that we're having in regards to who's paying who and where that money is coming from. I know my team, I've been really excited. I've been really loving on my team lately about we completely kind of pivoted our buyer strategy session to include more verbiage on due diligence and their deposits and that up front, and then also kind of tying that back into those end costs for them. But my agents, I sat them down and I'm like, this gives you guys an opportunity, one, because we as like real estate agents set that, that 2.4% or that range, right? Like it became customary that way, but now agents have opportunities to go get that 3%. Go
100%.
Go do whatever your value.
Saying this, to a brand new agent, I did often look at it and say, okay, there's a house that came up for sale. I had really well qualified buyers at a great buyer profile. I have an amazing resume as an agent. And I don't mean that like, I mean, literally, I'm great to work with. You can ask a lot of list agents that I've worked with. I have experience. I have a calm nature. I'm able to communicate clearly. I have systems and processes in place. I have an amazing transaction coordinator. I actually bring that seller's agent and that seller an elevated experience because of what I've invested into my time and my business. And so I do think like I'm worth more if I bring a buyer to a property, but it was unheard of for you to go negotiate up, right? No one was going to do that. Like, no, we're offering you what is customary in our marketplace. And so I do think that if you look at it and you stop focusing on the really low hanging fruit problems, guys, I promise you, FHA loans, VA loans, we're going to get this figured out. That's all shockwaves that are going to iron out over time. Are they going to maybe all be fixed by August 17th? I don't know. If I had a crystal ball, I can answer that. I probably would be on a beach somewhere and not on this call. But I'm telling you, those are ancillary issues that are going to be solved. You have to change the narrative from those low-hanging fruit conversations to just really acknowledging, no, there was some price fixing here. Absolutely. There was some non-disclosure. There was some things going on that if we can fix and iron out, will make our industry better. And you have to have those conversations. That needs to be showing up in your social media. That needs to be showing up in your conversations with local agents. That's what you need to be showcasing to your marketplace, because that's leadership, right? And that's what people are going to. Brian Buffini talks about this. I'm a big Buffini person, but he talks about in times of crisis and in times of trouble, people look towards their lighthouse, right? And that proven, steady, reliable model is what people are going to look for. And that's actually our vision statement at my company, is to be a beacon for the community by putting people first. And we go back to it every time. And I think we're very well armored for what's coming, because when this all came out, we didn't start running around irresponsibly complaining about this or talking about that. We were like, no, people are looking right now because there's troubled waters. They want to know which direction are we going in. So I actually took, I think, 3 or 4 weeks before I even made a statement on it to our database. We literally just put our first print marketing piece together this week to send out to our database. And the way that we did it, guys, is we pretty much took, 5 or 6 big myths about the real estate world and what headlines were out there. And we said, hey, how can we debunk these? How can we give you our true facts? And that's what our marketing piece looks like, because we want to be a beacon. We don't want to be noise, right? We don't want to be noise. So I would encourage you, if your verbiage has not been in that trajectory, get it there. And I think it's an enormous opportunity for you to gain some market share and to grow your business in this marketplace if you really embrace it for that.
Well, and I think it's important too, and I want to go back to what you talked about, like I'm worth more because of the value I'm bringing. So if I bring a buyer to you, not only are you getting me and my expertise, like I'm guiding this buyer like correctly and responsibly, but the team that you have behind you, I think that is, it speaks to both buyer and sellers now at this point, because buyers generally, now they will be interviewing agents. They're not like, I think the age of Zillow Flex and other, just kind of raise your hand, get me out to the property and go.
I'm free. That, I mean, that's not going to be your value.
And that should excite you. I know like our market is very heavily Zillow Flex. And that's just the reality that we're in. But honestly, I'm excited. Because I know like the closing team that we've built, the agents that we have, the experience that we can offer. If you're an independent agent, you can duplicate that. You can replicate that as a team. If you have a business built as an independent agent, but just how can I take that experience up a notch every single time? Because now, one, there are going to be people that have that bad attitude, or they immediately jumped on Facebook and started bashing NAR, or they started, getting on social media and just kind of being irresponsible with their business. And instead of kind of just staying quiet, let's step back for a moment. Let's maybe, like you said, acknowledge what we may have been doing unknowingly, right? And just taking a moment, step back, take a breath. First off, it's going to be okay, because if you are working full-time in real estate and you're doing your job, you'll be fine. Mm-hmm. But the baseline is that's there. But now you have to take a look at, again, when I onboard agents, I ask them a question. Like there's about 30 sites that happen in the triangle. Only 2,000 agents will do more than 10 a year. Mm-hmm. So wipe out the other 8 to 12,000 agents in our market. That's a lot of sides to go around between 12,000 or between the 2,000. How much business, how many of those sides do you want? So you just have to now just add an extra step into that. How can I elevate the experience? Because I'm going to get interviewed for the job, whether it's selling or helping someone buy a house.
Absolutely.
And then bringing that value forward. I really been hating, and this is just my opinion, it might be a hot take. I really hate that 100-point list on what a buyer agent does or what a listing agent does. Cause I'm like, it's so great.
Yeah. Great. Good. That's your job. Yeah, absolutely. I do. That was a post that killed me, because again, it's that concept of like, are you a lighthouse or are you a victim? Are you playing a victim or are you being a beacon in your community? And for me, I want to be that beacon in my community. I don't want to be a victim to my circumstances. And I don't want to be hired by someone who identifies with me being a victim of my circumstance. And Cliff, I mean, like you said, it interview. And I think that's something that's so important. I can have my closest, and I have one this afternoon, like a dear, dear friend selling her mom's house. I'm going to walk in the door at 4:15. But don't you think for one second that I'm going to just assume that they are not looking at some potential other models for listing. I mean, maybe they're not, but I'm never going to assume that they're not. And I think that one thing that will change on the buyer side is it won't be a race to the introduction. And what a world we can live in when our lead generation is not a race to the introduction. Think how much more enjoyable prospecting will be, how much more enjoyable the problem solving for buyers is going to be when we're not in a race for the introduction. And I'm very, very excited for that, because I'm looking forward to the chance to come to the table and understand that there are other agents vying for this position and to be able to say, these are the reasons why you should work for me.
Yeah. So I think this is something that Chanel said once, where she's like, I'm excited to go last. I want to be the last person you meet with.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because she's like, because I know I have it, and I know my values there.
Yep.
And that always has stuck with me. And because it's like right now, I mean, we all play the same game, right? Mm-hmm. So whether you're buying leads or you have, that brand recognition, it's a race to who can get in front of them the fastest.
Yeah.
And what value is that? Because now I'm like, hey, let's go out to a showing right now. I can be there in 5 minutes.
Absolutely. And then I show up to the showing. I don't have context. I've not had a chance to connect with that list agent. And we've been using this script in our listing appointments for a while, guys, and I'm happy to share it while we're here. We really do. When we're in listing appointments, we explain, especially being in a heavy Zillow Flex market, because I'm in the same market with Cliff that he was sharing. I'm very quick to explain. These are the consequences of a market with a lot of online connections. Your buyers are meeting this agent at the front door, because a lot of people don't know that real estate's traded this way. They think that that the buyer contacted a real estate agent, that they sat down, that they had a consultation, that the real estate agent understands what they're looking for, their timeline, their motivation, their pre-approval. They feel like they understand all of those things, and that they've selected to come look at their home because it fits a bulk of that criteria and that the agent picked it out. When we debunk that and we explain, like, yes, I hope there will be showings like that, but a lot of times first introductions are happening at your doorstep, and that consultations are happening at your countertop in your kitchen. When we explain that to sellers, whenever we are in those appointments, we really do kind of bring them into our world, and we explain to them why it's so crucial to work with us as a list agent, because we're going to have those communications with those agents to be sure that we're not dispelling or kicking our sellers out for an hour for someone to come through the property that doesn't meet any of their criteria. And so I think that there's just, like, again, it's that first introduction game. We've been debunking it on the list side, and I think that's been helping us be more competitive at the listing table. But think how powerful that's going to be when we're able to explain that that's how real estate's been trading on the buy side. Look how much more valuable I'm going to look, saying, wouldn't you rather do it this other way? Wouldn't you rather do it knowing that you have a partner on your side that understands what you're doing, versus meeting you at the door? And again, I'm not bashing that model at all. I'm just saying that it has been, I think, a race for the introduction, because we know their stats saying that most buyers will go with the first agent that they choose or they meet, right?
Yeah. Well, I think it's like, I mean, because I remember and I don't want to continue picking on Zillow Flex, but I'm going to just for a minute.
Same.
But I remember pre-Zillow Flex. I mean, that rocked a lot of teams' worlds here when Zillow Flex came in, because it was on different avenues. So like recruitment looked different. How buyer and seller leads were coming in looked different. Like they were like there's like always been Opcity, but that's Opcity. Right. But it's the same model. It's just they have, it's a bigger platform, and it's awesome. And it works for some teams, and it works to get people in the door. But there is a lack of relationship, or it's very transactional. And that's a word you have to lose. I think that's like going forward. You can still do, if you have goals, you want to do 60 transactions this year as an independent agent, or you're an agent leveraging a team. You can do that, but you just have to keep that relationship top of mind from the beginning. It's not about how fast I can get through this transaction, and like going back to you going to a friend's house to help them with their parents' home. You going in, that's the biggest referral that you can get. So if you go in expecting it, if you came in with like entitlement, I'm sure you're going to get that transaction, but would you be referred again? Where do we?
And what is, to me, a singular sale, guys? Like, and one of the things when we talked about this topic, Cliff, and I was preparing for it, was I really wanted to make sure I had a chance to shout out old Simon Sinek and The Infinite Game, because it's been such and again, it's a book that I happened to pick up last year after leaving EXPCon. I don't know, I was in a room somewhere and someone said to read it, so I was like, okay, great, I'll read it, because that's just how I am. People are always like, can you tell me why you chose this? And I was like, no, it's because someone told me to.
I keep Audible credits.
Yeah, successfully.
In case I can order it immediately go, I won't do it, but yeah.
I think it's so funny. Success leaves clues. So when a successful person tells me to read a book, I don't be like, well, should I read that? Does that apply to me? I'm like, I'm just going to read it. So the Infinite Game talks about this, like at a high level, this transactional style of working. And it never brought me a lot of joy. And I always thought I was kind of a weirdo because I was like, oh, I just don't love this part of it. I loved the relationship building. I loved the longevity of things. And it's because we know a finite game, like the game of football has a set of rules. It has a specific set of players. They're wearing 2 different colors, so you can tell them apart. There's 4 quarters. There's clear objectives on how you get points. There's clear objectives on how you get penalties. Guys, we're not playing a finite game in any business, but especially not in real estate, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's not clear teams. There's not clear rules. Look at this. This is an entire new rule that just got thrown at us that we have no idea how to go pick up the ball and play now. And so I think you do have to realize, like, it's an infinite game. And if you're trying to just win transaction after transaction after transaction, it's not to say that you can't get somewhere, but I think it limits you to how far you can go. And so I would really challenge you to pick that book up. I think it's an incredible mindset, which I know that's what we're talking about today, an incredible mindset boost for the world that we're in right now as real estate agents watching our industry evolve, because you're going to learn that it's called Infinite Game, Carmen. I see you commenting there. Infinite Game by Simon Sinek. He wrote Leaders Eat Last and Your Reason Why. Incredible organizational health and just mindset coach. But it's such a big thing to focus on right now. And I think it's one of the best ways you can guard your mind by realizing, hey, those weren't set rules that are getting changed out from underneath me. I'm playing an infinite game, and I better be ready for the next thing that shows up that's gonna challenge me to evolve and change again. I read an amazing article the other day. It was coming from Amazon, and it basically was like, prediction of what's going to kill Amazon, and it's going to be not evolving, which is crazy because you think about Amazon and that's all you think about is evolution. But Jeff Bezos was basically like, it will go bankrupt if it doesn't continue to evolve. And where do they go from where they are now? And we have to have the same in our business, constant evolving, and the protection of your mind is understanding that that's normal. Yeah. And so many of us don't think that's normal. We think it should be the same rules all the time, right? And it's just not going to be, right? And this is a great example.
Nice.
It would be nice, but boring, I think.
Yeah.
But nice.
Well, that's the thing I think too is, the biggest thing for me, and this goes to, like, you can take this personally, professionally, wherever you want to take it. But like certain stuff, like your mindset, for me at least, I'll speak for myself, is if I have everything could be crappy around me, but if I'm not subscribing to it, right? If I'm keeping my eye on where I need to go or where I know I need to be, and I remember, and I've talked about this before on here previously, but it's coming back and it fits now. I was in Iowa at Amy Wienen's house, and we were prepping for an event, and it was so late. Our flights got delayed, and so it was like midnight, and we're just get to her house. And we're sitting there, and she's talking about this elevator, right? And she'll call it just woo-woo, right? So it gets a little woo-woo, but sometimes you need that. I mean, it's truly like, so she talks about this elevator. If you're right now, I'm seeing a blockage in the road. I'm going to go on my brain. I'm going to take this elevator up and then look past it. And then that's where I'm going. And it's just starting there, just having that mindset of I'm going to be okay. I'm going to thrive in this. This is just different. And honestly, like I have a few newer agents within the last, they licensed within the last year, 2 years. This is honestly, I'm excited for them because they're not comfortable with the old way. Mm-hmm. And really it's not the old way. It's the same way. It just looks different. Mm-hmm. Right. So it's just a pivot.
That's it. And I think it's one of those where it seems, like you said, kind of woo-woo. And like, I can tell you that it's very easy sometimes to feel like that's secondary to producing an income, to making my listing presentation more polished, to sitting in recruiting meetings for agents like on my level, or for individual agents like getting on the phones and prospecting and calling. But I'm telling you that you have to set aside time, and you have to be very intentional about your mindset. And that's something big that I've picked up in the last couple of years. I've always been, I think, a very positive person. And like, I don't understand how all this works. I don't understand, chemically what's going on in your brain. But I do know that over time, I've just always been a pretty positive person, I really didn't harp on the negative. I always kind of attracted to happier things. But as a business owner, I've learned that I have to constantly retrain that brain to stay there. And not to let myself ride those whims of like, oh, I feel great today. Oh, I feel crappy today. And just find that level. And Chanel, it's funny, we talked about Chanel already. Chanel talks about this, like that regulated level of dopamine throughout the day is one of those things that I just have to protect my brain around every single day. But it is just as important as all the transactional pieces to your business. And I can't stress that enough. And I was not one to get into the woo-woos a couple years ago. I was like, I sell real estate. Like, that's what I do. Now I feel like, no, I sell real estate. I'm a business owner, but first and foremost, like, I'm a human being that has to have a specific mindset for these other two things to lay out. So I would challenge you to set some time apart in your day to focus on some of the things that we're chatting about, because it is so crucial. And obviously you are, because you're here on this webinar talking about mindset.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest. I love being woo-woo. I'm good.
I'm all good.
Yeah, I'm good with it. So I'm gonna kind of close it up before we open for questions. If there's one one overarching piece of advice that you can leave with the agents on here, I want to hear it.
Oh, just one?
Just one.
Just one that's relevant for all agents. I think we've really been focusing down on our network lately. Your network is your net worth. And I think it ties into what we're talking about, because that race to the introduction, the transactional mindset, I've always been a big believer in people want to help you guys. And sometimes we don't like to go asking for help, and we don't like to reach out to people that know, like, and trust us, because we feel like maybe they're going to think I'm bothering them, or they're going to feel like I'm just, hitting them up for business or whatever. And I'm here to remind you that people love to be of service to others. I mean, there's a few exceptions to the rules, and we all know them, so maybe don't call them. But, Cliff hit me up last week and was like, hey, can you get on this broadcast? My day was slammed, being very transparent. That's why I'm sitting in my car. I was like, oh my gosh, is it going to? Yes, absolutely. Because I wanted to help you, and I wanted to be able to help others. Don't keep people from being able to help you in your business. Pick up the phone, say, hey guy, hey neighbor, hey, previous coworker from my last career, hey parent of someone in my kid's class, I'm calling for business today. I'm actually working on growing my database of homeowners that need information on what their equity positions are. And I was hoping you could help me by connecting me with a couple people in your neighborhood that you think might be beneficial from gaining this information. Don't void people the opportunity to help you, because we do that all the time by not going and asking for help. And so one of the big things, I think it's very easy for agent to ask for help, particularly in our network. It's incredibly easy for agent to ask for help, but we sometimes forget to go ask our net worth for that assistant as well. And so I just want to encourage you today, who's 3 or 4 people that you can pick up the phone and say, hey, I don't know if you're familiar with this NAR settlement stuff going on. If you've seen the headlines, the 6% commission is dead. I'm really working on making sure that my local community is aware of the changes that are coming. And I just want to know, who do you know that could benefit from a conversation like that? It would really help me if you could give me one of those introductions. Don't void them the opportunity to help you, because they actually want to. And we forget that about people. So I think you can apply that on lots of levels, but that's always my one tip, is let people help you. They want to.
Yeah. Leverage.
That's right. We don't leverage people appropriately. I've learned that over the last couple of years, because I love to help people, but I never recognized that in other people. And that was shame on me, because I'd be a lot further now if I'd started earlier.
Well, it's crazy. This actually this is kind of separate, but we were thinking about this. Are you part of Bundle Select?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Well, we'll talk after this. But there's a program inside of our firm that partners with other local businesses, and we were early adopters of it. And I was calling everyone I know, because I'm trying to land these companies, right? So I'm calling like someone I haven't talked to in 5 years. I'm like, hey.
When we get off this call, you're gonna call me, because we actually just launched something called aprevendors.com, and I think we might be doing something similar. So let's chat.
Okay. So I want to open it up to, I really love that. I think leverage is huge. And I'll say, like, what me and it's really crazy. Anna and I think actually the first time I saw you was when Chanel was talking about that dopamine thing at Evolve last summer. And now look at us now. But that's huge. But also just having that, showing up for yourself. That's too, like leaning on people. I'm leaning on everybody, anyone I can, right? Because I'm giving. I want that back, right? And it's fair to ask for that. Right. But showing up for yourself and just get adaptive, be resourceful, and stay excited about real estate. Because if you can continue that, just having that topical, I'm excited to be here today, before you walk into, if it's your home office, or before you walk into if you have a brick and mortar, before you step in, I'm the best real estate agent in the triangle or in my market. You go into the door and you start your day that way. I think just simple little acts of kindness to yourself on that. Be gentle with yourself during this pivot, but just stay excited. And yeah, so I'm going to open it up to any questions in the chat. We'll stay on for a few more minutes.
I love it. Thanks for dealing with my not ideal backdrop for.
I love it. I actually like the tree. I've been staring at the trees.
I'm really big on maximizing like my time. And so like my husband says it's because I just produce time in my brain that's not. For me, it's like I claim it's high efficiency. I don't know. I think it's somewhere in between, but
yeah.
I've
been annoying everybody around me, mainly like my friends, but I don't think I've physically typed a text in 3 months.
I have a client right now that we exclusively video message each other, and I've never been happier.
It is crazy.
Commercial client, so ambiguous, kind of a mess. It's just nice to know no one is producing that information or non-information, because they're it's just great to be I'm so sorry, I don't know anything new because this is an ambiguous, slow process, but right. I don't want you to think I'm being a Debbie Downer. So here's my video of my face telling you.
Yeah, no, that's here. Siri's been working part-time for me for the 10 years I've had an iPhone, but the past 3 months she has been 80 hours a week.
Really putting her hours in.
She's making up time. It's crazy. I won't touch my phone.
Yeah, and it is. All those little hacks.
It's crazy. That's the thing too. Video. I'm the last a bit. We're really not getting a lot of questions. I think everyone's stunned because we're how amazing we are. But I do want to say video texts. Send those videos. I am first off, I was you sound the way you sound, you look the way you look, send it. Because if you're talking to a lead, you're doing more than 90% of agents are doing in the market. Correct. So send it when you get in front of a lead or you get open house. One, you're going to get your face back in front of them. And that is, it's huge. So
it is. We were talking about that the other day too. It's guys, we'll go out on open houses, right? And I always compare it to going offshore fishing, which my husband was supposed to be doing this weekend, but thank goodness the weather's bad because I did not want to watch all of our children by myself. But you spend 3 or 4 days getting your gear, rigging your lines, doing all this stuff, going out to go fishing, and then someone walks in the house and you run the other way because you're terrified that you're going to bother them while they're at an open house. It's that's putting a fish on your line and then throwing the rod out into the ocean. And then what you do is you go back to your offices on Monday and you go try to find your rod in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. And you know what? It never does. It never shows up. So I'm huge on the 3-way text. Right there in the house, get a lender on it, get the person on it, and then follow that up as soon as you're walking out of the house with a video. If you're in an open, go give them another little quick video tour on that 3-way text that they can have and say, hey, I just thought maybe tonight when you're comparing houses, it would be helpful to have a little reminder of what you saw today. So I wanted to send it. You can make that video one time and you can send it out to everyone that came to your open.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I want to give a shout out. My friend Kim Hawkins, she's a partner of ours in Asheville. Kim, I've been seeing your videos. I've been loving them. So keep it up. All right. Well, I'm going to end the call. This has been great. If you want to see a recording of this week's or previous videos, you can go to 3commaagent.com to see more videos from our with Kyle Whistle, Dan Beer, Tina Call, myself, Marty, now Anna. So we're excited. Thank you, Anna.
This oh my gosh, thank you. It's been
great
so wonderful. Everyone go crush your weekend. Mothers out there, enjoy your special day. I hope you have to do nothing. But if you do, I hope it's just writing contracts, okay?
Yes, let's do that. All right, guys. Have a good weekend. We'll see you next week.
Bye. Thanks, Cliff.
Bye.